Lecture 1. The etymology of the word Kazakh. There are many hypotheses about the invention of the word Kazakh. Scientists consider it in connection with the word free or with the name of Scythian tribe, 7th-4th centuries BC. Scientists believe that the ethnonym Kazakh comes from the name of the clans Sak, Kaspi, Kas, Kaz, Kars, Az, and Karsak. Academician N. Mara and Czech scholar B. Grozny assume that the term originates from the words Kazakh and Kesk. This opinion is supported by academician A. Margolin, historian M. Akintsanov, writer S. Mukhanov, and Russian scholars. A. Margolin refers to the fact that the Junior Zut still includes the small tribes Kazakh.
Ethnologist A. Abdrakhmanov supposes that the word Kazakh comes from the two words Kaz and Og. Ok.
Og means clan. Tribe in ancient Turkic language. This word is a basis for collective name of the ethnic name Oghuz. In this case, Kaz-Og means tribes of the Kazakhs. Russian scholar A. Bernstam, who conducted a long study on the history of the Kazakhs, made a comparison between the data of archaeological excavations and written texts and came to a conclusion that the word Kazakh comes from the combination of names of the Caspian and Scythian tribes. Chinese historian Ban Gu, who lived in the 2nd century B.C., wrote that there was the ethnic group Sai, or Sai, among other Central Asian people that defeated the Greco-Bactrian state. The description of some details shows that he wrote about the Scythian tribes. Orientalist V. Grigoriev proves that Sai, or Sai, means Scythians in Chinese. And the scientist notes that the ethnic group came not from some removed parts of Mongolia but from the east, where it was residing the banks of the Amu Darya and the Sia Darya. V. Radlov, a famous scientist and expert in Turkic language, believed that the word Kazakh meant free and independent man. This opinion was shared by A. Samoilovich. S.H. Kudayabadiyev also supported this idea and added that Kazakh meant free and independent people who established their free state. Kazakh scientist Sich Velikhanov wrote that Kazakh was a very respectful and sacred word meaning powerful, strong, and inspired. Fizlullah ibn Ruzbayan, one of the greatest Iranian political thinkers, in his notes dating to the 16th century provided the following evidence: the Kazakhs became known thanks to their courage, heroism, and great power. Linguist T. Zanuzakov proves that the first part of the word, Kaz or Kas, means free, brave, and man in all Turkic languages. And the second part, Ak, implies that the term is collective. Thus, there are two main conclusions. The word Kazakh comes from the names of tribes Kas, Kaspi, and Sak. The word Kazakh means a free man. Mengelik El of ancient Kazakhs. The first president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev, has been rightfully reviving and introducing such nationwide concept of development as Mengelik El, eternal nation, into socio-cultural life of the society. The concept had been originally founded and developed by local inhabitants, ancient ancestors of Kazakh people. General attributes and principles of Mengelik El have been formed and developed over millennia in specific historical conditions and certain territory. On top of that, creators and propagators of Mengelik El idea were representatives of social and ethnic communities based on continuous population genetic continuity at different stages of cultural historical development. Intergenerational continuity with regard to ethnogenetic development can be proved with the help of physical anthropology indicators, i.e. paleoanthropological materials, obtained through archaeological excavations of tumuli attributed to different historical epochs, from antiquity to the present. According to traditions, our ancestors erected various kinds of burial constructions as tokens honoring memory of the deceased, whose bone remains have been preserved until the present. Comparison of results obtained in the process of paleoanthropological analysis of ancient peoples' bones remains in Kazakhstan territory with morphophysiological traits of modern Kazakhs became a unique source of objective and reliable scientific knowledge which let us establish ethnoanthropological continuity of local settlers over the period of 5,000 to 7,000 years. As for correlation of complex morphophysiological features of Kazakh nation with anthropological features of its ancestors, we can say that to a certain extent it has already been executed on the basis of craniological materials. All the ancient paleoanthropological and craniological materials discovered on contemporary territory of Kazakhstan have been conventionally differentiated by basic historical cultural periods of Kazakhstan. The series of male and female skulls have been grouped together on the basis of the accepted method suggested by Professor G. de Betz. Aggregate average parameters of the paleoanthropological materials starting from the Bronze Epoch to modern series of skulls of Kazakh population have been established. They have been arranged in accordance with major historical cultural periods. Local settlers' skulls of the Neolithic epoch have not been included due to their sparsity. As for their craniological peculiarities, over that period inhabitants of ancient Kazakh land possessed ancient Caucasoid traits solely, but morphologically they were similar to local inhabitants of the Bronze Epoch in Kazakhstan. Research results prove that in the territory of ancient Kazakhstan race genetic process had been progressing without drastic changes over a long period of time, as population genetic continuity of local inhabitants' craniological parameters had been uninterrupted. Yet morphological development of local inhabitants displays gradual but slow process of anthropological coalescence of two big races, i.e. ancient Caucasoids with newcomers who had been Mongoloid race representatives of the Central Asian origin. Matization process of chosen paleoanthropological materials in ancestral Kazakh land is traced back to the period from V century BC to 15th century AD. It was closely related to the formation of contemporary physical appearance of Kazakhs. Therefore, over the period of 20 centuries, ancient Kazakh land has faced neither mass inflow of new ethnic formations nor mass outflow of local inhabitants from their habitual territory. On the one hand, presence of this unique historical factor during such a long period of time has doubtlessly facilitated consolidation and gradual passing of ethno-cultural traditions, including, above all else, development of Kazakh language. On the other hand, it has enabled long existence of Tengrism among local inhabitants. Interrelations between those socio-cultural formations bearers and development of ancient inhabitants' physical appearance in conditions of two big races contiguity eventually resulted in emergence of a mixed Turanoid race. Inside this race, Kazakh population has independent anthropological status called the Kazakhstani type. Dynamics of two-race genetic formations. Anthropological development in ancient Kazakh land. Present special interest Professor David Craniometrical Orezak Ismagulov. Anthropologist, corresponding member of NAS-RK. His areas of expertise pertain to the borderline between natural sciences and humanities. He widely applies anthropological data on ancient and contemporary Homo sapiens obtained as a result of interdisciplinary researches, in the capacity of a historical source of information on ethnogenesis and ethnic history of peoples in Central Asia. From the 60s he has been a permanent member and leader of anthropological expeditions both in Kazakhstan and beyond, including Indian Soviet, Kazakh Mongolian, Kazakh Italian expeditions. In 1993 to 1994, within the framework of scientific cooperation with the Institute of Anthropology of the Bologna University in Italy, he directed an international project for researchers on problems of adaptation of Kazakhstani and Kyrgyzstani highland populations with provision for ethnocultural regional processes. O. Ismagulov is the author of about 100 scientific works, including publications in 9 foreign languages. His general monographs are of special interest. They are dedicated to craniological series, genetic markers, odontologic traits, establishment of genetic continuity between ancient and contemporary population of the region, integrity of historical process, unity of Kazakhs genofund, as well as origins of their formation and the most significant historical stages on the basis of ancient populations of Kazakhstan and foreign migratory ethnic groups of Central Asia. Method has been applied for this purpose. On the basis of his method, series of male skulls were used to define relative level of Mongoloid elements increase among the inhabitants of ancient Kazakhstan from the Bronze Epoch up to the present, over the period of 40 centuries. Pic. 2 presents obtained results by principal historical cultural periods. Over the specified period we can clearly trace 3 consecutive stages of local inhabitants' physical type transformation, i.e. Caucasoid, Caucasoid Mongoloid and Mongoloid Caucasoid. Therefore modern Kazakh population has preserved about 30% of Caucasoid traits. It means that 1/3 of their genofund is related to ancient inhabitants of the Bronze Epoch. This fact undoubtedly proves that population genetic as well as ethno-cultural continuity has not been interrupted for a period of at least 4,000 years. Illustrations indicate that over the course of given historical epochs, dynamics of morphological type development in Kazakh land has been pursuing the path of Kazakh population's physical appearance establishment. It is highly important to define, at least provisionally, to what extent contemporary descendants of Mengele L living in sovereign Kazakhstan have inherited their ancestors' stable anthropological complex with a prospect of further socio-biological development. It might be admitted that 4,000-year historical path traveled by local inhabitants has been quite thorny. Nevertheless, ancient physical basis has been preserved in anthropological complex of modern Kazakh population to a noticeable degree, i.e. about 30%. That is why we can be sure that basic physical peculiarities of modern descendants of Kazakh population as well as ideological concept Mengele L will have been preserved by the end of the 3rd millennium. The Mengele L concept presented by President Nursultan Nazarbayev has been deeply rooted into historical past. It also seems quite promising. The concept of Mengele L is concordant with history of Kazakh nation with due account for periodization and achievements of modern interdisciplinary researches from antiquity to the present of Kazakhstan. In the given case, provisional chronology consisting of 12 historical cultural periods is suggested, mostly at track developmental paths on the basis of data presented by historical science itself. Linguistics, ethnology, religion and anthropology. This approach ensures comprehensive view on ethno-cultural integrity and unity of the centuries-old history of Kazakh nation. Thus Kazakh nation in present-day Kazakhstan does not only have ancient origins of ethno-cultural development, but also physical ancestors, living bearers of culture, who have preserved their traditions including various man-made monuments over the course of 4,000 to 5,000 year history. This is the view of Kazakhstani anthropologists on the Mengele L concept against the background of paleoanthropological data.